are you dreaming right now? So a lot of gurus in the past, for example, Alan Watts and people before him and the Buddhists believe that life in general is a dream and that we are just God, that forgot that we're God. We're all Buddhas already, we're all enlightened already, we're all masters and gurus, and there's just an illusion that's stopping us from realizing that, and that this life is also a dream, and we have the potential for all these things. So why do we dream? That's a question I want to ask you guys. Anybody has an idea?
I always thought it was that we've got like glands in our brain, that we've got glands everywhere else, but in our brain they can't get rid of all the liquid. So they have to do it at night, and they open the glands, release the liquid.
Okay. So that's like a very like visual, like physical explanation sort of what's happening in the Anything else?
Your mind experiences stuff during the day and you replay that at night.
Yeah, so it's sort of like finding and sorting out and like making sense.
Your subconscious is talking to you about how to move forward.
Okay, cool. Why do we dream? We might as well ask, why do we live? Charlie Morley. So I want to read you something from Charlie Morley's book. Ilana, thank you. She introduced me to this book at a time when I was searching for answers. So even I'm what would be considered a natural lucid dreamer, but I think all of us are natural lucid dreamers anyway. But it's something that spontaneously happens to me, and it's happened to me since childhood, and it's accompanied with visions late at night and sleeping paralysis. And when I grew up, my parents, with the best intentions, they didn't understand what was happening to me, and because I grew up in a very Christian community, out of fear, they always told me it's like from the devil and it's so dark and so bad. And actually, in some ways, they were right. It does work with the darker aspects and the shadow, and that frightens people quite a lot, and there's a lot of like shadow aspects attached to it. So I also had a lot of shadow aspects attached to lucid dreaming, and I was suppressing it with a lot of cannabis, other drugs, alcohol, any way that I could, and just mentally a lot also. And it was quite exhausting to suppress it, because I wasn't always successful, and then I would always wake myself up if I was lucid dreaming, and I would have sleep paralysis. It was just like not a pleasant experience. So throughout my 20s, I was suppressing it. And I also I've always had a deep fascination with death. I always asked my mom so many questions. Where do we go when we die? And again, I was never very satisfied with the answers I got. And as I was suppressing my dream life, or whatever, my lucid dreaming and just dreaming in general, my fear of death became really morbid and quite frightening. It became crippling in my life, where I couldn't travel very far. I'm actually somebody who loves traveling. And I would get so paranoid when my partner was traveling on the road. It was just really a crippling fear of death. And then one day, at a party, I took LSD, quite a lot of LSD, and I had the most profound experience. First I thought I was having a bad trip, but in hindsight it was the best thing that ever happened to me. And it's as if another part of myself was talking to myself. So later I learned that this could possibly be my higher self. And the message was very clear that I should smoke less weed, but even if I was still smoking a lot of cannabis, it wouldn't even suppress my dreams anymore. And that I would have to make peace with the fact that I lucid dream a lot and that I dream a lot. And if I did that, that my fear of death would I would be able to resolve and work with it. Because I didn't know how to work with it, because whenever I want to talk to people about death, everybody's like, yeah, let's talk about death. And if we really get into it, people are like, no, this is not fun. And I really wanted to get deep into it. So the motivation for me then at the end of the day to lucid dream was actually to resolve my fear of death. And then I knew after that trip that there was a link between death and dreaming. And then all the answers that I found after that with research, reading a lot of books, there's a lot of, I won't say there's like answers, but there's a lot of things where dream and death come together and sort of where you can maybe look for answers. Okay, why we dream? So dreams have a lot to do with your own subconscious mind, and then also the collective unconscious, which we'll get into. With every dream, the unconscious mind is offering us a hand of friendship. So this was very important for me because I was scared to lucid dream because I thought my mind was like really dark and freaky stuff's going to happen. And when I started reading this book, Johlene already explained to me that my mind is like reaching out to me, trying to befriend me, and that really also was a game changer for me. But far too often this is an offering we ignore, either by not remembering our dreams or by failing to acknowledge their value. So a lot of people say, oh, I don't dream. And then I talk to them about dreaming, and then they'll report back to me like, oh, Johlene, are you some other dream guru? I'm so dreaming so much right now, I'm remembering everything. It's not that at all. It's just because you brought awareness to it and you just gave it attention. So I have had no formal training in this. I've just played with it. I'm a lucid dreaming enthusiast. I'm not a master. I'm just the master of myself. I'm going to mention Tibetan Buddhism. I'm free of religion, but a lot of religions resonate with me, different parts of it. So all of this is mostly from these books that I've read, and then from being part of lucid dream groups on the internet, where I've learned a lot. So getting back to what I read here. Once we become lucidly aware within the dream, however, we are extending a hand towards the unconscious mind and finally making friends with it. As Rob Priest says in the Psychology of Buddhist Tantra, when we are willing to take the psyche seriously and listen to its symbolic expression, we can gain greater clarity and insight into the forces that influence us. We will no longer be victim of the unconscious mind. So nobody knows for sure why or how exactly we dream, but there are various interesting perspectives on the matter. So there are 4 that I like to look at that sort of resonated with me a lot, but there are so many you can, even from Christianity, there's a lot of mention to dreams and prophecies and stuff, so it's everywhere. So I like to look at neuroscience because I'm a Westerner, so I like it if something's backed by science. So I'm going to look at the physical and chemical with regards to, and look at neuroscience to explain that a little bit, to talk about a little bit. Analytical psychology, so the conscious and subconscious minds and archetypes, so this goes from Carl Jung's work. Tibetan Buddhism, spiritual awakening and death, shamanic and sacred psychedelic work, and then I'm going to talk about the connections between lucid dreaming and psychedelic experiences. So, I mean, Tibetan Buddhism can also be used to explain the physical and the chemical, and I'll mention that a little bit. So you can use them in various ways to explain it, but those are just the sort of categories I could go into. Oops, I went too quick. Neuroscience. Dreams are dynamic, 3-dimensional scenarios that play out in our minds when we are asleep. This is a highly active neurological process that requires more cerebral blood flow than everyday wakefulness. So a lot of people feel like, oh, but if I practice lucid dreaming and I'm so awake, will I be deprived of sleep? No, that won't happen because you're not actually sleeping. You release chemicals in your body that actually lock your muscles so that you don't move around because you are very active in your mind. The Tibetan Buddhists believe that your mind's 7 times stronger when you dream. This is, so a lot of blood flow. Various parts of the brain are active during REM, rapid eye movement sleep, especially the brain stem. So even though it's like a full brain activity happening, it originates at the brain stem. And again, where Tibetan Buddhism and neuroscience comes together is that the throat chakra in Tibetan Buddhism is associated very strongly with dreaming. So they will also do like throat chakra chanting, and singing also helps for stimulating the thyroid chakra. It's got to do with expression, so it all relates with the dreams. Dreams can occur anytime during sleep. So you don't only dream during REM sleep, but those are just like lower brain activity dreams. And I've become lucid in some of those dream states, and the dream content is very empty. There isn't a lot going on. Dreams can occur, most vivid dreams occur during REM sleep when the brain is most active. On average, we dream at least 4 to 6 times per night. So REM sleep, if you go to bed at like 10 or 11, REM sleep will start about 2:30 or 3 a.m. and that is also when DMT is released in the brain. So it's believed that there is a link between dreaming and DMT, although science hasn't been able to exactly pinpoint how. And then another thing to mention is we spend 11 years, so I think this is if you live about till 70, 80, 11 years of your life, more or less, you will spend in REM sleep. So not sleeping, REM sleep, so it must be important. There were also Scientists or researchers wanted to do research and see what, if they deprived people of REM sleep, what would happen. And what happened is they would just have REM sleep earlier and earlier, and at the end of the day, the research just became like about depriving them of sleep, basically. So they couldn't actually go forward with the research. And there's about 1% of the population that don't dream, that don't go into REM sleep and dream. So they've done like MRI scans, but they don't seem to be affected by them anyway. They're just normal people going on with their normal lives. So, analytical psychology. Psychoanalyst Carl Jung believed that dreams had spiritual meanings and psychic functions. In his view, the mind consists of two parts, the conscious and the unconscious. The latter being the larger of the two, which is not fully accessible to the conscious mind when we are awake. And also when you lucid dream, it's as if the conscious mind becomes awake in the unconscious. The basic idea behind Jungian dream theory is that dreams reveal more than that they conceal. So that's what shadow work, it shines light on the shadow. There's like no filter. They are a natural expression of our imagination, and they use the most straightforward language at our disposal, mythic narratives. So these are basically symbols, but the symbols of the collective unconscious. So not necessarily how you might interpret the symbol. This mystic world of Jung is the realm of the archetypes, which are the universal energies of every human who is not only in conflict with society, but also with him or herself. Jung suggested that the archetypical images that come through dreams may be derived from different organs and through thought centers in the body, and as such represent evolutionary drives. So this is a book that I love to use for dream interpretation. So I've only lately started learning about dream interpretation. I was more concerned with lucid dreaming. And then a friend of mine, she's a Jungian psychologist, so she introduced me to dream interpretation. This book isn't like just wrote from Jung and drawn from Jung psychology. This man, Michael Lennox, he's actually like a natural dream interpreter. So he can sort of draw from the collective unconscious and interpret dreams, and he's always been good at it. And what I like about this book is it's got a lot of modern references that Jung doesn't always have, like shopping malls. I'm dreaming I'm in a shopping mall or whatever. So it's really nice. Cell phones. Okay, Tibetan Buddhism. So this is where the answers about where death and dreaming come together was answered for me. And dreams of awakening draws a lot from Tibetan Buddhism. In Tibetan Buddhism, dreams are viewed as a training ground for spiritual practice. So they're not so worried about dream interpretation too much. It's more about what you can do in the dream, because they believe your mind is 7 times stronger. So you can say like affirmations, if you meditate or you sing mantras, it's more powerful. An opportunity to recognize the illusion, the maya of the mind's projection, and the possibility to become enlightened when we sleep. So this looks like a Tibetan Om, except the maya, I'll show it in the next picture, is not there. So the illusion is not there. So that's the Tibetan dream symbol. And it's so funny because during a time when I was not aware of this at all, I actually had this tattooed on me. Yeah, and when I went and learned about this, I was like, what? I tattooed that on my chest here. I don't know what it was. I was just like, oh, it's pretty. Okay, the illusion of the mind's projection and the possibility to become enlightened when we sleep. So they believe you can actually like transcend when you sleep. 3 main classes of dreams that they say exist are samsaric dreams. So samsara, you guys, I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with samsara. It's this loop that we are in of birth and death. And if we break free from that, we are enlightened and we become one with everything again. So
sorry,
yeah.
The word is samsara.
Samsara, thank you. That sounds
First
better.
time we've learned
Samsara.
Thanks, Jude.
So that would be samsaric dreams. Okay. So they are just like your regular dreams. Where you're like stuck in that loop, you don't know what you're doing, and you're like very stuck in that illusion. It's usually very like emotional or scary. And then dreams of clarity, which are lucid dreams, and then clear light experiences. So this is when you bring awareness to the other parts of sleep, like deep sleep. And that's like a whole other ball game actually, because that's when you experience very low brain activity. So it's very peaceful. And in Tibetan Buddhism, they also call it clear light experiences or something. I can't remember now. But yeah, it's basically you have no ego. You're just not even a point of reference. You just like, they say it's very good training for overcoming fear of death and things like that. So to be basically stripped from your ego while you are in a very restful, natural sort of state. So it's not like being stripped of your ego from ayahuasca, where it can be like quite frightening. This is a more chill way to sort of play with that a little bit. Dream yoga is a combination of transformational lucid dreaming, conscious sleeping, and out-of-body experiences. So Bardo is the place in between. So the Tibetan Buddhists, and this is the Tibetan Book of the Dead. It's quite freaky. It's a very freaky read. I haven't finished it yet because I find it quite scary. But it's very interesting. And they believe that when you die, so Bardo means place in between. So we're also in Bardo now. We're in the Bardo between birth and death. When you die, you're in the Bardo between death and rebirth. And that Bardo is a lot like a dream. But again, maybe this Bardo is also a lot like a dream. And if you train to work with the illusion and see past the illusion, and there are many ways in the dreams that you can test the illusion and work with it, then they believe when you die, you'll be more likely to also spot that this is death, this is the illusion of the death state afterwards, and you'll be able to break free from that. Because they believe if you are religious, your God, your specific God will appear to you, and it will actually make it easier for you to break free from samsara. But for people who are Buddhists, who don't necessarily believe in a God, you can do this sort of practice and then you just get yourself.
I don't know if you know, Timothy Leary has written a version of, has interpreted the Tibetan Book of the Dead with his work on LSD. So
I think if I had an interpreted version of that, I would maybe find it easier to read also.
Yeah, so it's actually really nice because he talks about how to navigate the bardos using psychedelics. And as, you know, like each state is like a state of ego death and navigating the different realms based on his work with it. It's quite intense.
That's very intense. I'm like, no, my ego is like, no, I don't want it to be true. But
very interesting. Yeah, I think you enjoyed it. Very.
Lost your name for what that was saying.
The psychedelic experience. It was one of the first ones, so you could get away with that.
Dreams are a metaphor of death. So even in some Native Americans tribes, they call, I don't know which tribe specifically this is, but they call death of sleep the little death. So there's a lot of references with death and sleeping in a lot of different cultures. So dreams are a metaphor of death and serve as a prime training ground for death. If we gain mastery over the mind of dreams, we can gain mastery over the mind of death. And that's what the Tibetan Buddhists believe. So here, this is not a Sanskrit Om, so it's not the same kind of Om, but it has the same sort of like arms and stuff. So this explains, so this is the transcendental state, this is your sort of enlightened state, and this is the illusion. And then this is your deep sleep, so where you're unconscious. This is like where you're very still. Like when you meditate, you go into that still space with infinite possibilities. When nothing's manifested, it's that space. Then wakeful state, so this is when your logic, ego is turned on, conscious mind, and then dream state. So when the unconscious is in the foreground. So they also see life as sort of a dream. Shamanic and sacred psychedelic work. So I'm no sort of shaman or anybody who serves medicine or anything like that. I only have my own experiences to go on. And there's I knew after that LSD trip I told you guys about, that there was a strong link between these things. Because it revealed so many things to me about the dreaming. And then I also realized when I started working with the lucid dreaming, when I look at how things look and how I experience it, it really reminded me of psychedelic medicines that I've worked with and what I felt and these patterns and all sorts of things like that. So I then found this book, which gave me a lot of answers, written by David J. Brown, Dreaming Wide Awake, Lucid Dreaming, Shamanic Healing, and Psychedelics. Really nice book. So I drew from this book to get this information. So a connection between lucid dreaming and shamanism. People report having lucid dreams within days after having a psychedelic experience. Definitely, especially when I take mushrooms, psilocybin, I experience that quite a lot. Even if I've spent time in temples where psychedelic medicine was served, but I wasn't drinking any of the medicine, I was there on a whole other weekend, I would feel a lot of increase in my lucid dreaming. So just even being in that sort of mind space. Similar patterns of activity in the same brain regions are seen in dreaming, lucid dreaming, and in ayahuasca and psilocybin-induced states. So they put people under MRIs and they see the same sort of brain activity. Both lucid dreaming and psychedelic experience are used in shamanism, and both can be used for healing, creativity, and developing personal insight. So here's a book of Carlos Castaneda, and he also talks about shamanism and dreaming and the importance of that. Although some people say he was a fraud, so read with caution. Both states of consciousness perceive the world or our mental simulation of what we believe the world is as having less physical stability and greater responsiveness to our mental expectations and beliefs. So I have taken some psychedelics before, and now the chair is breathing and the grass is like alive and tickling my feet. I don't know if any of you have ever experienced that. So you realize that also in the dream. And in the beginning, when I started doing lucid dreaming, I wanted to control the environment a lot. And I tried controlling it with force and sort of in a logical way. And one of the ways to test the illusion that the Tibetan Buddhists encourage people to do is to walk through solid objects like a wall. And then the first time I tried it, I went up to the wall and I was like, this is an illusion. And then it didn't work. Like it was like clay and I couldn't get it. I was like, this is just a projection of my mind. And it just like didn't work. And there was a window. I was like, maybe if I fly through the glass, because it's like see-through, maybe that'll work. And I flew against it and thunk, I just couldn't go through. So I didn't understand why I couldn't manipulate these solid objects. And then on an online lucid dreaming group, someone said to me, when I asked for advice, approach any object in your dream as if it's a person, because it is you. So the next time I went over to the wall and I was like, oh, beautiful wall, please let me pass through you. And then I went through the wall. And since then, I don't control anything in the dream anymore. I ask things to happen. So I go into a room and it's very dark and scary, and I'll say to the room, it's funny because I don't plan it like this, but it just like sort of happens in a lucid dream where I'm always complimenting the inanimate objects before I ask them something. And I'm like, oh, beautiful room, please become light, and then the lights go on. So that's quite interesting. And then when you're awake again, you're like, is God in the chair? What's going on here? So it really makes you think about stuff like that. It is speculated that DMT may naturally be involved in dreaming and again in death. In both states, people report seeing the world around them in magnificent detail. So I've often said this to Philip also after I've had a lucid dream, that when I look at nature, especially in the dream, it really looks like those patterns that you saw in that picture earlier and that you often see when you have a psychedelic experience. Those patterns are also in there, so it sort of looks also like that. And things don't look so solid and they're like changing, so it has that similar effect. I get the same feeling. And I've also, every time after I get a lucid dream, I always feel very happy the next day. I really feel like my serotonin's gone up, so I think a lot of things are similar there. Both states can help us access material in the unconscious and are powerful tools for exploring hidden dimensions of the mind and also the collective unconscious mind. Both states can lead to what has been described as a spiritual awakening, a mystical experience, and boundless unity. Both states allow for intriguing contact with what seems to be other people, entities, intelligent beings, and the dead. I have no experience of talking to the dead in dreams, but a lot of people report that. But I have summoned like my inner Buddha and inner characters like that. And then I've gotten like really insightful answers for questions and stuff that I had, where I also felt like, how would I know this? Maybe it's also drawing from that collective unconscious. Both states allow for intriguing. Okay, I've said that. Both states often transcend logic and rationality. Absolutely with dream. Like, it's hilarious. It's really like, it doesn't make any sense. And even in trying to interpret it, you can't interpret it in a logical way. You're trying to also see what the dream means, from drawing from the collective unconscious sort of archetypes and symbolism. Yeah, I actually tried to help Ilana interpret her dream, and she was just like, "What? That's not what I thought it was." So yeah, it's very. So this is where this book that I mentioned earlier helps quite a lot. So it's very interesting. It's been suggested that the unconscious mind communicates with the ego using similar personal meta language in both dreams and psychedelic visions, so very symbolic. Powerful psychedelic experiences can lead to full immersion in alternative realities, just like dreams and lucid dreams. So it looks like in a virtual reality sort of space. Both states can lead to the understanding that we all live inside our own personal constructed realities and mental simulations. Lucid dreaming. What is lucid dreaming? So I've spoken about that already. Does anybody have like another idea of what they think lucid dreaming is?
I just want to ask, astral projection, is that connected?
So, some people say that astral projection is just lucid dreaming. But I don't agree. Because I've astral projected and I feel there's definitely a difference. I don't feel very comfortable with astral projection, so that's still a fear that I have to overcome. But I know through sleeping paralysis, I can go into lucid dream or astral projection. So like the door was the same, yeah. But I have very little experience with astral projection because I stop it. I don't go there, yeah. So I still have a lot to learn there. So yeah, different opinions about it, but in my personal experience it's not the same. Because you see things as they are. When in lucid dreaming you don't see, you see things in your mind.
Yeah, maybe astral projection is like more like real.
Yeah, the astral plane is not like the lucid dream. You're basically inside your mind and it's your mental projection. Where in the astral planes, you will come across other entities and stuff, or other people. Some people said that can also happen in your lucid dream, where other entities or people enter the lucid dream. I've never had that experiences, but some people report that. Yeah, because I think they're both like out of body experiences, where you use your energy body.
Yeah, I think there is a bit of an overlap. I don't know if anyone's ever read Lyle Watson. So he talks about experiments where they used to take people and get them to dream at night, and they would find that they would be able to describe paintings in a building next door. So people were obviously visiting this building in their sleep. And also, I think I think we also can move through time. So experiences I would have as a child is that I often dream. It was quite useful, but I didn't really know the answers though. But I would dream about the exam I would write the next day, and I would go through. I'd know the exact questions, and I'd be writing, that. And then I'd get to school the next day and then write that test, and I'd already written the night before. So
a key difference for me, why I think it's really different from my experience only, is because when I'm in a dream and I'm in my bedroom, usually what alerts me to the fact that it's a dream is that something's off. Like my wall's pink and my wall's not pink. Something's off. It doesn't look the same. Where in my experience with astral projection, in visiting a place or a room in the house, everything's exactly the same. And then when you get back into bed and you wake up, and you go back, it's exactly the same way it was, the person sitting there, the way they were. So for me, that's the big difference, because I've never had a lucid dream that started in a familiar place where it's really exactly the same. And there's always something off. So what purpose does lucid dreaming serve? So I'm just going to skip along, because I know we don't have so much time. There's no better way to show how our concept of reality can be blown away than through practicing lucid dreaming. So Rob Nair is from Zimbabwe, and he is Charlie Morley, who wrote the book Dreams of Awakening. He's sort of like his mentor. And Charlie Morley actually has a deep connection with South Africa because he did his first lucid dreaming, dream yoga retreat here. So he's connected with Rob Nair. A lucid dream is a dream in which we are aware that we are dreaming as the dream is happening. It's a high definition, full color, and hyper-realistic experience. It can greatly reconfigure our perception of reality. Lucid dreaming is a form of mind training, and the aim can be to become more aware, to switch off autopilot, and to wake up to life. So I'm somebody who really struggles to live in the moment. That's why I'm a yoga teacher, because I need it. And lucid dreaming has really made me live more in the present. I'm more like taking things in around. Because I think because I do that in the dream, also because you're like so fascinated by everything, and that's sort of like, wow. I mean, you just see like a tree in the lucid dream, and you're like, wow, this is amazing. I can't believe my mind made this. And then you start looking at what everything in life is, and that just made you more present. So, yes?
Sorry, just a quick question. I've always found that I'm aware, so I have these incredibly violent and terrifying dreams, and I'm mostly aware that it's a dream when I'm dreaming. It's like I can tell myself in the dream that I'm dreaming, but I'm still terrified. Like it's still really, really scary, and I've never really been able to, I don't know, manipulate it in any way or change anything around me, and I just like go through this dream thinking, you're dreaming, but why are you dreaming this? It's terrifying.
Can you
stop,
not control your body and think like I want to go there or here or something
yeah,
like
but
that?
then every time I take a different turn, it's like the same terrifying.
Yeah, because you're running away from
That makes
it.
sense.
You mustn't. So whenever you encounter, and you become lucid, whenever you encounter a dark thing in your dream and you're lucid, go towards it. If you can, don't like ignore it, don't run away from it. If you can, hug it and embrace it, and you'll see it transform. So you have the opportunity to transform things. I'll give you an example. I had this I actually still have this reoccurring dream, but it's now missing this one thing. I had this reoccurring dream where I was in this mansion. So whenever you dream about houses, it's your sense of self. Always these mansions, and then I'm in this mansion, and I'm living in this room, and I'm like, oh no worry, there are like all these other rooms in the mansion that I forgot about. Usually very big bathrooms, fancy bathrooms. So that's cleansing and getting rid of things that symbolizes. But there was always this dark room. And like even the entrance of the room is like this like tree, like this really creepy tree, and there's like ghosts in there. So ghost symbolizes things from our past that haunt us. And I'm always telling everybody like, don't go in there, don't go in there, don't go in there. But because it's such an emotional dream, it was never a lucid dream. And then I set an intention to have a lucid dream where I would see this door and then enter it and go into there and resolve whatever needs to be resolved. So it's very nice. If you practice lucid dreaming quite a lot, your brain will sort of set the scene for you, and it just sort of happens sometimes that you can then have a dream that you want to have. So I start the dream and I'm in a room and I open the door and there's a little boy in front of me, and he's so cute, and I'm like, oh, you're so cute, and he's got teddy bear ears. And I see the teddy bear ears and I'm like, okay, I must be dreaming because this is very strange. And he was like giggling and whatever, and then he ran off, and the moment he ran off, he ran into a dark room. And in that moment I realized like, oh, it's happening, like now I have to go into the dark room. My mind just made up this whole thing, like I can't turn away now, it's a lucid dream. And he ran in there, and this was a house, and then I realized it was my parents' room. And this was a house where I went through a lot of trauma when I was a child. So a lot of my shadow stuff comes from my teenage years when I lived in that house. And all of a sudden, I was in the dark room, and I said to the room, oh, beautiful room, please become light, please become light. And as the room became lighter and lighter, it was my parents' bedroom. And then I realized I'm not as dark as I think. And then I'm not making light of anybody's trauma, but I realized about my trauma that it's just a story I'm telling myself the whole time. And that trauma doesn't actually really exist. It's not that dark, there's nothing dark, it's just a room, it's light. And a lot of things changed inside of me after the dream, so yeah.
That's such a great point, because I always feel like I'm running away.
Yeah,
and I always run right back into it.
You must
like
face
I'm running.
If you're
running.
lucid in that, your mind really wants to resolve that thing. Yeah. So embrace it. Talk to it, compliment it. I always find complimenting. My mind obviously loves compliments. Benefits. No. Sorry, guys. Okay. Benefits of lucid dreaming, and it opens us up to a library of knowledge. So collective unconscious knowledge, your own knowledge in your own subconscious. I had a dream where I really realized this was true, I was in a dream, lucid dream, and I asked to hear music. And I listen almost only to classical music. I love classical music, but I'm not somebody who can write music or sing, or I'm not musically inclined at all. And then I asked the dream, please play some music. And it played classical music, but it wasn't a song that I felt I ever heard before, and it was beautiful. And then I had some dream characters around me, and I said, oh, I don't know this song at all. And one of the dream characters said to me, well, here's some Mozart. What is that? Remember what I said that symphony was? Anyway, it's a famous symphony. If you hear it, you'll recognize it. And it played that symphony perfectly. And I was like, whoa, I have all this information in my mind. Everything is stored in your mind, so you have access to that. It can serve as a tool for healing. So Charlie Morley in his book talks about how he healed an inner ear infection. So I've done other sorts of healing also. It doesn't have to be physical healing. You do it with affirmations, and you always speak in the present tense. So you don't say, I'm healing my ear. You're saying, my ear is healed. I am this, whatever. So I use affirmations a lot. Even just to boost confidence or whatever. It serves as an opportunity for self-inception. Again, affirmations. I'm wonderful, I'm awesome. We struggle with things like that. It gives us the opportunity to work with nightmares and the shadow. A lot of that. To enhance creativity and to ask for creative advice. Preparation for death. And to ask for advice, you can sort of summon like inner parts of yourself and ask for advice. That's also a cool thing to do. It's just like not usually the answer you thought you were going to get. And it's usually quite humorous. Preparation for death, like I mentioned, spiritual practices and mindfulness training, receiving teachings, lucid living, so anything you do in the dream realm is going to flow over into your life. Everything you do in your life is going to flow over. So avoid doing violent things if you have control over your dreams. And just to have fun. That is definitely the biggest part of it, is to have fun. It really is a lot of fun. It's very humorous. Lucid dreaming technique. So getting lucid won't just happen by reading about lucid dreaming, although it's a brilliant lucid dreaming inducing technique to read about it. It's all about practicing lucid dreaming, just as looking at a map won't get you anywhere you need to set out on the path. Charlie Morley. What is your motivation? So the first thing is you must be motivated to do it, and you must know what your motivation is for doing it. And then you can start setting intentions for it to happen. You can start with a dream yoga practice. So that's very important. And it has to be a strong motivation. Our minds are goal orientated. And it's actually setting a motivation and goals is one of the lucid dreaming inducing techniques to work with that goal orientation part of our mind. So dream recall is where you want to start. And even if you don't want to lucid dream, because some people are like, oh, it's a bit freaky, I don't know if I want to do it, or it's difficult, I can't do it, or whatever, but I feel everybody can. It's just very nice to do dream recall anyway, because normal dreams are, there's a lot of information there to work with. And I'm actually at the point now where I don't control my lucid dreams so much, I sort of go with the flow of the dream, because I learned quite a lot from it then. Connecting to your dreams. So how to do that? Get to know how you sleep and the time of your REM sleep periods. So it starts about 2:30, 3 a.m.-ish, REM sleep, and lasts until about 6 a.m. And if you take a nap in the middle of the day, you go straight into REM sleep. So that's a nice time also to practice lucid dreaming. Set a strong intention before bed to remember your dreams. Again, goal-oriented mind. Don't move from the position in which you wake up. So our memory is not actually just stored in our brains. It's, we have muscle memory. Our memory is stored everywhere. And you can actually try this. I encourage you guys to try this. Often you've laid in the bed and you're like, oh, I just had this dream, and you remember everything, and you go to the toilet, you sit in the toilet, and you're like, oh, I just forgot what I just, So, go back to bed and go lie in exactly the same position when you woke up from that dream, and you'll feel the memories come flooding back. Sometimes it's even when you roll on the other side, you'll be like, oh, I can't remember, and just roll back. Improve overall memory. So when you try and improve your memory in the day with herbs or practices or something, it will also help with your dream recall and vice versa. Since I started practicing dream recall, my memory is a little bit better for sure when I'm awake. So you can keep a dream diary, that helps. But I'm not very good at journaling, so what I find helps is dream sharing. So when Philip and I wake up in the morning, we tell each other what we dreamed. And then you start making new memories, and that's what sticks, because the original memories of the dream is not going to stick. There's that veil. We're meant to remember and forget it, probably also so you don't get confused. Because I've also gone through periods, and this is also why I suppressed my dreaming quite a lot. My dreams became so real that I got confused a little bit sometimes, like, did that really happen? Did that person really say that? So I think that's why we also forget it, just so that we can stay sane. So I'm just going to talk about one lucid dreaming inducing technique, and that's dream-induced dreaming, dial. We get lots. So in dial, so this is where your dream recall and the dream diary and dream sharing is going to come in handy. You want to start realizing, I'm a bit confused. So dial is when you're in a dream and you realize you're dreaming, like, I'm dreaming. So there's a lot of things that can alert you to that. Like random one-off anomalies. Like, for example, that little boy that I saw with the teddy bear ears. That's strange. So that alerted me. Dreamlike themes or scenarios. So say, for example, you often dream about something. Like a nightmare in the streets and something's chasing you. When you also start writing your dreams and you become very aware of that, next time you're in the dream, you're like, I always dream like these people are chasing me. And you're like, I'm dreaming. And then reoccurring dream signs, so also things that happen again and again. So that's why the dream journal helps quite a lot with that. And then reality checks, that are my favorite. So there's different ways to check reality in a dream. And when you do it, the reality checks when you're awake a lot, you start doing them in your dreams. So a very famous one is look at your hands. So when you're in a dream or you think like, am I dreaming? You can look at your hands. So they suggest I suggest how you do it is when you're awake, set a few alarms during the day, say like every 3 hours or something, and that says like, okay, now you have to do your reality check. So you can look at your hands like this, and then flip them over and look at them again, and if they look the same, then you're like, okay, I'm not dreaming. Because when you do that in the dream, whenever you look at something, you look away, you look back again, it's going to be different. So for me, I don't even have to flip my hands. Often when I look at my hands, they do stuff like that. It'll be like a funny green hand, or I've got 2 little baby hands, or one hand is like big and blue, and the other hand is like small and whatever. So this is just a funny picture to see what your hand could potentially look like in a dream, and then you know you're dreaming. Another thing to do is, but these are, only recently one of these worked for me, and I was so happy in the dream when it happened. You can put your finger through your hand, then in the dream it's supposed to go through, but that didn't work for me in a dream once. And something else alerted me. And another one is to pull your fingers, and then your fingers go really long. And that recently in a dream worked for me. And it was really awesome. It was funny. So these things sort of seem like, oh my word, that's going to freak me out. But in the dream, it doesn't freak you out. Like, especially if you work more with it, it's just like really funny. Like, these freaky things happen, you just laugh at it, and that hand will probably laugh back at you. Read text. So for me, it's like I can't even read text. It looks like I'm dyslexic or something. And then if you can read text in the dream, read it, look away, read again. If it says the same thing, you know you're not dreaming. So you can also set your alarm. So you can either look at your hands like this during the day, or you can look at the clock or something like that, look away and look back. Because the logical side of your mind is sort of turned off, that recognizes patterns and work with patterns, and writing is sort of patterns that it works with. So it doesn't work so nice. And using digital or electronic devices, that's a big one that often alerts me that I'm dreaming, is that I can't get my phone to work and the buttons don't work. Mm-hmm. So there are many ways to become lucid in a dream. Here are a few more practices that can enhance your chances. Educate yourself about dreaming and the stages of sleep. So if you educate yourself about it a lot and dream about it a lot, you're putting a lot of awareness towards that, and that's definitely going to help. Meditation helps a lot, so heightened awareness while being relaxed helps a lot. Practicing creativity, so I often find if I draw just before bed and I go to sleep, I have very vivid dreams, or I have lucid dreams. Physical exercise, so improve your balance. So it's very interesting that when you sleep and you're still and you're in sleeping paralysis, this part in your ear, that liquid in your ear that helps with your balance, actually moves. So your brain is really thinks that you're moving. I had a little thing to read here about it, and I don't know where it is. Okay. It seems that if we keep our physical balance in real life, we will be better equipped to keep our mental balance in the lucid dream. Studies have shown that people who have good spatial skills and physical body balance seem to have a natural propensity for lucid dreaming. The reason behind these findings is that an important component of both physical balance and lucid dreaming is the vestibular system of balance, a kind of spirit level in the inner ear which is linked to the production of rapid eye movement during REM sleep. So that really helps a lot. And I find when I do a lot of yoga, like when I was doing my yoga teacher training, I was doing lots and lots of yoga every day. I definitely had a lot more lucid dreams. Charlie Morley also used to be a break dancer, and he found in the break dancing groups that a lot of them were also natural lucid dreamers. Visualization helps a lot. So if you're just like, if you're somebody who sort of daydreams a lot and you have a nice imagery going on in your mind, you can sort of use that to create the sort of dreams that you want. So that sort of visualization, and then that can also manifest in your dreams. And then dream herbs. So that's been mentioned tonight. So on this picture, this is valerian, this is passion flower, and this is mugwort. And I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about that from this awesome book, Plants of the Gods. And here are dream tinctures. One is called Dream Yoga, and the other one is called Vivid Dreams. And I'm going to tell you what's in them and why the herbs are good for dreaming. So the Vivid Dream one has valerian in, which is a nerve bind. So it calms the nerves, it's sedative, it's a sleep aid. It enhances the dream content, so it makes like things more colorful, there's more characters, and improves dream recall. Passion flower, which contains harmine, originally known as telepathy. So that comes from the word telepathy. So it's supposed to have like consciousness expanding effects on your mind. It's also a monoamino-oxidation inhibitor and can be used in the place of Syrian rue with certain plant medicines. And it's believed to trigger visions, passion flower. And then lemon balm also in there to sleep aid and for calmer dreams. So if you have a lot of nightmares, maybe that can help you out. Then the dream yoga one. So this one, the vivid dream one, you will take before you go to bed at night. The other one, the dream yoga one, you will wake yourself up around 2:30 a.m. or 3 a.m. and then you'll drink it and then you go back to sleep. So it's also got valerian in, and it's got mugwort in, which enhances hypnagogia. So that is, hypnagogic imagery is if you do wakeful induced lucid dreaming wild, you consciously fall asleep. But when you consciously fall asleep, there's a lot of patterns and imagery and things that you see as you go into the dream, and that's called the hypnagogic state. It's a catalyst for lucid dreaming, mugwort, even if you smoke it. The Native American Chumash tribe reflect to mugwort as the dream sage to promote positive dreams, which they believe is essential to personal health. It is supposed to give you more colorful dreams and heightened awareness. And then the dream tincture also contains ginkgo biloba. That's why I would say don't drink it right before you go to bed, because that is going to cause a lot of cerebral blood flow to your brain. Well, obviously your brain. Better memory and heightened awareness. Prayer. So you don't have to be religious to pray. That's again that whole goal orientation and intention setting. But if you're religious, you can also pray to your God and ask for lucid dream, and that's also a nice lucid dream inducing technique. And bedtime ritual. To have any sort of bedtime ritual, whatever that means to you, even if you're giving yourself a foot massage before you go to bed, or you're sniffing essential oils, just bringing that awareness to this practice. That's what most of the practice almost is, to get to the lucid dream. So the herbs that I talked about in front here is from Herbal Hands, and it's made with Philip's hands. Yes, his hands. It's handmade. Made with a lot of love. That's his number if you ever wanted to contact him. And then I'm very happy to announce that at Druid's Garden, I'm going to have a dream yoga retreat where we're going to dive much deeper into this stuff. We are a team of 7 people, 4 women, we're all yoga teachers. and there was a young psychologist in training, and then we also have 3 men also as part of the team. So we've got a team of 7 people that's going to carry you through the weekend. It's going to be lots of yoga, asana, meditation, shadow work, and dream yoga. And you can phone me or just send me a WhatsApp on that number if you're interested, and I can send you an application form for if you want to attend it. We have room for about 20 people, so there's limited space. But it's a really nice venue. It's a temple where they serve plant medicine.
And you will be posting, obviously, in plant.
Yeah.
And in our newsletter too, so everyone please make sure that you put your email address in.
And the only plants we're going to work with is the herbs I just spoke about. So we're going to make other plant medicine. And that's
So I had 2 questions about Kia. Just throw out one. You mentioned that psychedelic states and lucid dream states have many things in common. One of the things they have in common is that it's exploring your own mind. And then we started speaking about lucid dreaming, and you said that that's going beyond your own mind. So I'm quite new to this. Some people, when they have psychedelic experiences, they believe they go beyond their mind. So I just wanted to know your thoughts.
So you don't always necessarily go beyond your own mind in the lucid dream, but there is potential for it. So you can, and I feel like even within the dream, but even in this life, we draw a lot from the collective unconscious. So there's that sort of knowledge also to draw from.
Okay.
Some people also believe that other people can come into your dreams. Some people have shared dreams. Some people say other spirits can come into your dream. I don't have no experience with that. For me, so far, it's mostly been just in my own mind.
Okay.
And that's what I'm more concerned with, because I'm more concerned with what I can actually experience. I'm not too worried about spirits. That's why I'm not that eager to do the astral projection, because I'm not ready to go into those realms. I'm actually just concerned with my experience. So I don't really push for those boundaries. No. Push those boundaries. Did I answer your question?
Yes, I have another question to ask you.
We'll have a question next.
Yeah, it very much goes into his question. It's you have your brain, and he called it the collective unconscious. I almost want to call it the collective conscious.
Yeah. It's just what Carl Jung called it. I guess there's like a lot of names for it.
Yes. So my question is really, our brain is so limited. Are we not really just regurgitating what we experience during the day at night? I want to go beyond that.
But I don't think your mind is as limited as you think.
Maybe not.
Maybe just don't see it as that.
And with lucid dreaming, those limits that you have in your mind will come up in lucid dreaming. Like that limit that I couldn't walk through solid objects was there. And I had to sort of change the way I thought about things to be able to work with that part of the dream yoga practice. So the only limits on your mind are the ones that you put there. Something I really want to do in a lucid dream, and this is where my mind is putting like quite a lot of limits. I mean, this happens with a lot of people, is we want to, because I love flying, I want to fly to other planets, off the planet, and the mind really resists it. So it's sort of overcoming those limitations, and who knows, if you overcome those limitations, where you can go. You could probably go to all sorts of places, astral planes, I can't say. I think it's limitless, actually. Because as much as we can go outside to infinity, I believe we can go inside infinitely also.
Well, maybe it's the same thing.
Yeah, two sides of the same coin.
Carlos Castaneda is really interesting with the work that he and the his tradition, the Nagual tradition, talking about the dreams, the Vedic tradition, the dream warriors. So it's a shamanic tradition of, strengthening your dream warrior self, and also in Gwiti, the Yoga tradition. We look at the dream world as real as this world, because this is also regarded as a dream. So
Yeah, for me it was almost the other way around. Like this became sort of a little bit unreal.
Yeah.
So it just goes, it flows like both ways. And the more I work with it, the more I realize like there are blurred boundaries between the two. Like absolutely.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Something I want to say to you is, I had a dream while I was trying to get over my fear of lucid dreaming, where my subconscious mind said to me, fear is just an illusionary line, and you're already on the other side. So it's all those boundaries the whole time. It's all mental constructs. The illusion. The Maya.
What are your thoughts on deja vu? I mean, I've had deja vu where I was overseas. I've never been there before, and all of a sudden, I remember a dream that I was there before. What are your thoughts on that?
So precognitive dreams, also mentioned in Dreams of Awakening. So our minds are like computers, and we can predict stuff. And then we predict a lot of stuff, and I think it comes out in dreams a lot. And then sometimes you predict it correctly. And I think it's also about manifesting a little bit. Science explains deja vu as you've got two eyeballs, and for some reason, sometimes, whatever the reason, the message going from one eye into your brain and the other one, there's like a millisecond difference, and then you also get that feeling that you've been here before. So that's another explanation. But I've also had dreams that were quite what is the word now? Resentient, that's even a nicer word. So yeah, I think it's how Charlie Morley experiences. It's just like your brain is computing, and it just like guessed it correctly. It was like successful at guessing it correctly. That's sort of like not such a great answer. So
The lady in the jersey has a question?
no.
Okay. Should we just get one more from this side? Anyone? Yes, so you.
Alcohol, so less esoteric, and I actually am asking on behalf of someone else. But if you, so it was a conversation we had, and he says that if you drink alcohol, your body is in a more like fight or fight state, and you don't dream as deeply. And then if you don't drink, then your body like sucks up, or you dream. Yeah,
So there's a lot of stuff, substances that will suppress lucid dreaming and dreaming in general. Alcohol is definitely one of them. And other chemical sort of drugs can also do it. And then cannabis. There was a study done on cannabis, and this is the interesting reason why they think it happens is when you are awake, it's not actually that your subconscious mind is turned off, it's just not dominant, the conscious mind is dominant. And when you are high from cannabis, it's as if the subconscious mind, the right side, comes forward and becomes a little bit more dominant. And it's believed that maybe because that's already happening and that has to happen to your brain, and that sort of happens in dreaming a lot, because you already got your fix and that happened, you don't have so much REM sleep. So that's what one study concluded. It's not actually that it suppresses it, it just makes it less likely to happen because you've already sort of been in that space a little bit mentally. I hope I said that right.
One more question over here.
No. I wanted to say something to the person who asked about deja vu. But I can chat to you later.
Matrix.
Brad?
I wanted to comment on two movies, Inception and Doctor Strange. What do you think about them?
I find from my experience that Inception is not a very good representation of how the dreaming works and the levels and the timing and like how deep you go or slower time. I don't really agree with that. But it's a fun movie. Yeah. And he has like that little spinny thing. Yeah. So the tattoos on my fingers have actually sort of become like that. Like if I look in the dream and I'm like, oh, where's my tattoos on my fingers? So some things can work. And a nice movie for lucid dreaming that you can watch is Waking Life. Waking Life, yeah, that's what it's called. Waking Life. What other movie? There aren't actually movies that I'm impressed with. You're just going to have to do some dreaming. Huh?
Quite good Waking Life. They also do the light switch, reality check, switch to the common.
And that also brings death and dreaming together.
Yeah. And the other one was Doctor Strange.
Never seen
that. It's like a Marvel thing, but yeah.
Oh, I have seen that, but how does that relate to dreaming?
He's got like he's either physical or he's not physical, and he's actually fighting people in his dreams. Actually,
I was going to watch that again.
Yeah. You can move shapes and move stuff.
So someone asked me once, do I do dream magic? And I was like, no, I don't do dream magic. In my dreams, I fly, I move objects, I do this. And then when I said it, I was like, okay, maybe it's and then I realized it's also just like, yeah, your intention behind it. It is sort of like a magic, I guess. It feels quite magical when you do it.
You can actually
You feel very powerful also.
There is such a thing, and especially consciously the Noel's work.
Yeah, because when you work with that illusion and you can really, really realize it and bring that realization back here and really realize it here, maybe you can bend spoons in there.